2015 has been a year that has been explained in different ways by different people. For some, it's been dramatic. For some others, it's been good. But some others have realized that 2015 was a very hard year. How has 2015 been for Nigeria? We do have a researcher at SPM Intelligence, and he's here to discuss the socio-political and economic situation of Nigeria in 2015. This is discussing 2015 retrospect. We have with us, Cheta and Nwanze. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank
you.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Cheta. Cheta is a researcher at SPM Intelligence, and he's been very gracious enough to join us here this morning on the morning show. Thank you. Now, we'll dive straight into the discussion, the economy. First of all, if you were to use one word to describe, I heard you talking about the economy yesterday, and your predictions were very dire. But if you were to describe, first of all, looking back 2015, how would you describe the economy, particularly from when the new administration took oath of office on the 29th of May?
To be fair to the new administration, and it's no longer new, I mean, a government that's been there
for 7 months,
7 months,
yeah.
You can't classify it as new. But to be fair to this current administration, they inherited a mess. And the mess only got worse because of inaction on their part. If they had made some statements, so for example, and I'll dive straight into criticism of the president. Last week, the president presented the budget proposal to the National Assembly. And immediately, as soon as he presented it, the very next day, the Naira gained a bit on the parallel markets, because there was a definite policy statement from the president. This is what we are going to do.
It was reassuring.
You understand? Now, imagine if the president had made such a policy statement, not necessarily the budget, but it's a statement on the economy on October 2nd, the start of Q4. Q4 would not have been as bad as it was. And Q4 was dire. It was really, the words to describe it are all on the very negative end of the scale. And that, in a nutshell, summarizes this year. This year is closing out with a lot of companies letting go of staff. So we are going to face increased unemployment levels. In this year, we found out that 26 of our 36 states are insolvent, which means that next year many of them are not going to be able to pay salaries. Labor is on their own talking their regular nonsense. So Labor will try to mobilize people to go on strike next year. It's a sum total of what happened this year. And then we are seeing this new approval of 86 Naira 50 kobo for petrol. I really don't understand that. So if you can enlighten me, I'll be grateful.
Okay, Nigeria seems to be in the eye of the storm. 2015, if you look at the economy of Nigeria, there's a global... the global economy is in the midst of an oil price adjustment. We do know that the price of oil fell by about 60% in the last year, and we know the importance of oil to the Nigerian economy and, of course, foreign exchange receipts of the federal government. What is the implication of this on the Nigerian economy?
I like it when people say the eye of the storm, because the eye of the storm tells us that we're in a period of calm. 2015 wasn't exactly calm. We left the eye of the storm. The eye of the storm was actually like 2013 to 2014 economically. So we are now in the headwinds. We are facing it. And basically this government is being left to deal with the bad decisions made by the last government. Many of these government members were members of the last government when they made those decisions. Remember that...
poor decisions.
Poor decisions,
actually,
yeah. So remember, for example, we had this issue of the excess crude account, which the governors at the time took the federal government to court over and won. That essentially wiped out what may have been a rainy day fund that we could have used now to stabilize everything. Unfortunately, we don't have those savings. Our foreign reserves are in the toilets. And we are not, so basically we have, give or take, 3 to 6 months cover. And that's one of the reasons why the central bank is being very protectionist of the economy.
I was going to ask of the central bank, because right now a lot of people are...
It's scary. It's frightening.
Policies, yes.
It's frightening.
These policies, are they helping us? People do not understand the impact of these policies. You're saying people cannot use their ATMs abroad. You're saying you're restricting importation of certain things. There are a lot of policies that have been introduced in 2015 that people don't see the impact. Now, as the specialists, tell us, how has this improved our economy? economy? Has it worsened it? And what are the predictions for 2016?
It hasn't improved our economy, clearly. If it had improved the economy, we would have been seeing maybe an easing by now. Instead, what has happened is it has caused panic in the system. I mean, chaos. So people are looking for all sorts of ways to get things out. Now, let us get one thing straight, and this is a fact that we have to accept. Nigeria is an import-driven economy. Let me ask you a question. You are wearing very nice clothes now. How many of them were made in Nigeria?
Actually,
and when
we talked about this earlier.
Yeah, when I say made in Nigeria, I don't mean by your tailor. I mean
by the fabric.
Yes.
Down to the fabric.
That Ankara there that is lining your stuff
Yes.
is from Holland. You understand? My ring is from Dubai. My cuff links are from somewhere else. Your tie is from London. As in, by the time we look at everything down to beak, beak may be assembled in Nigeria, but the plastic is probably not made in Nigeria. After all, plastic is made from crude oil. We don't refine crude oil. So you see where the thing is really sad. We import everything, and it is not possible for a country of how many millions, whatever we are, to be import-driven. We need to produce something. But then, you see, this is where it becomes, because we have so many, I'm looking for a word here that will not come off as insulting. I've come to realize that Nigerians are very sensitive.
Oh, we're sensitive. I listen to you on radio, and I know that...
we have so many little proclivities here. So, for example, if the president is to say, okay, stop importing shoes, let us rely solely on Abba-made shoes, people will say, Abba-made, I don't want. But
That's too drastic a measure.
Yeah, but it's not a drastic measure. I mean, let us look at something very critical here. By the time we are patronizing Abba-made shoes, those people will have money to produce more shoes.
But it's like the automotive policy. They say putting the cat before the horse. Do we have enough supply to take care of demand?
See, automotive is high level. Let us start with the basics.
yes, the
We
basics.
talked about the biro, where the component parts of the biro are made outside. At least it's not very hard to make a biro.
Yes,
You understand?
exactly.
So let's at least the basics. Let's get the basics done here first.
So that means CBN got it right at first when they restricted those few items.
No,
Would you say they got it
put
right
the
there?
cart before the horse, because we have to start producing those things first. And when we produce enough, and it is now there's clearly a case that the foreign imports are squeezing local production, then you can
protecting
start
cottage industry, yeah.
restricting, you can start protecting your own local industry so they will grow. But we have a situation where we don't have enough production to meet our own local demand, but we are trying to restrict this. What it will cause instead is shortage.
Yes. Now let's talk. Sorry, I mean let's talk about looking at the manufacturing industry, because like Olive mentioned, coincidentally we talked about it earlier this morning. Do you think that thus far, in terms of policies, appointments, that we are in the right direction in promoting a healthy manufacturing industry in Nigeria?
I used to think
Vis-a-vis
that
the 2016 budget.
that's what I was doing. I used to think that until I saw the budget yesterday, the budget breakdown. And when I saw the budget breakdown, I became really frightened. Because the 2016 budget, the breakdown, is basically the old template that has been used. And in that respect, I'm actually very disappointed in the administration. Because the fact is this: one of the reasons why people like me helped in our little way for this administration to get in was we believe that there will be the political will to put those civil servants who have been recycling the same old insert word here forever.
Adjust figures.
That's basically what they do. They already have a template. They adjust figures, they adjust figures, nothing new. And in having, you see, the excuse could be given between May 29th and now that, oh, they were working with the PDP budget, they were this, they were that. From tomorrow, essentially, it's their budget. And they've let those guys to win. And that's a problem.
Okay, quick one, Cheta. You've so far painted the picture of doom and gloom. And
I hate being called a prophet of doom. I like to be called a realist.
Aren't there some positives you can take out of the economy in 2015? The GDP growth, for example.
For me,
and also the Treasury single account.
The Treasury
How
single
does that
account
factor
is, the Treasury
into the
single
economy?
account in terms of the government expenditure plugging leakages was excellent. That was excellent. There's no taking that away. However, it still remains a piggy bank. You need to spend money in order to make money. If you cannot spend because you are busy trying to save, there's another word for saving, and it's called hoarding. And when you want to read up Keynesian theory, what hoarding does to the economy, you really don't want to know
But
about
2016 budget says that a lot of spending would go on with capital projects
capital.
And all of that. So they'll be spending money.
into the top of my screen.
A lot of money will be pumped into the economy.
We just talked about how the 2016 budget is the old template. I mean, take for example the Enugu-Onitsha route, one of my favorite routes in this country, because there's no roads there. It has a budget of 5 billion. 5 billion will be taken out. Will 5 billion be returned? Will 5 billion be enough to construct from Onitsha to Amobia? I don't think so.
This is very scary. We know what happened to Greece this year, and PDP has predicted that we are on the path to Greece.
The PDP
Please tell
are
us
not
something
serious,
different.
please. Let's not
It's like
one positive that is almost definitely going to happen is that power will improve next year.
okay.
That's one I can say.
Why do you say so? Is it
Yes.
because of the helmsman at the...
Not just one thing that he said, which gave me a lot of confidence when he released his roadmap, was that he's going to continue existing projects. You know, the typical Nigerian attitude has always been when a new guy comes, he will
Stop
scatter
it
everything
and
and
start
start new
something new.
ones. He's going to finish up the existing projects. That's good. So that will give people confidence to invest in the power sector. And we predicted that power will get to about 5.5 gigawatts in 2016, which at least will reduce people's daily costs.
Yes.
You understand? When people's costs are reduced, then the money that you spend buying petrol to power your gen can be diverted to buying diapers for your kids.
There's so much that we need to talk about. This topic cannot be exhausted, but we'll be continuing on social media, and we'll be tweeting with him. We'll be retweeting his tweets as well. So follow us on Twitter at GMNS School TV, and you get to learn more. We'll be asking him more questions, and we'll continue the conversation there. But thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And we have to have you back.
We'd love to have you again. There's so much we need to talk about. All right, we'll be going on a quick break. We have Nnamdi Kumba. He's standing by with sports, so stay tuned.
So, did you like what you just saw? I know you did. It's very simple. If you want to see more, just subscribe to our channel right now.